Alright, what's going on everyone? I'm SomeDevNamedSteve and welcome to the final Let's Make tutorial for Hello Unity for the first Let's Make series. So, in the last video, I showed how to collect all of the sphere objects that you see here. So, I showed how to collect the purple ones here and then also the red one here. So, and also how to make this appear after you collect all of these. So, if you want to go back and look at that video to make sure that you know how to do that, check out that video. In this video, I'm going to talk about the UI. I'm going to talk about the different kind of elements you can put in. I can show how you're going to code it, and I'm going to show what you're able to do with the UI. So let's just jump right into that. So what I'm going to do is that we've been creating just 3D objects so far. So if we right-click here, 3D object, we could create anything here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to right-click in the hierarchy. I'm going to go to UI, and I'm just going to make text, something to show the score. And I'm going to call this score text up here. So, and what happened is that you see a little box here, but if I click on the canvas, that's what showed up. And then I have my score text down here, so, which is a child of the canvas, essentially. So wherever the canvas goes, the score text will go with it and stay in the same relative position. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to move it right over here, let's say. It's right about there. And I'm not going to have it have anything. I will just say score goes here as a UI placeholder. Now I'm going to right click on the canvas again, and I'm going to go to UI text, and I'm going to add another one. And this one I know is just going to be a static thing, and it's not going to change. So I'm just going to say you win for this, and then I'm gonna add one more text element. Actually, no, I'll add it in the score text. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna maintain everything within the player movement script that we have right here. So the only thing that we need to do is that we need to add another library. So I'm gonna say using Unity engine still, so using Unity engine, so it's within the Unity engine library dot UI or user interface, where you are able to use other things like buttons. You're able to use string input, you're able to use drop down menus, anything like that. But for this one, we're focusing strictly on just text. So what I'm going to do is that I'm going to create a couple text areas. So I'm going to say public text, score text, and then win text. So I'm able to create multiple in the same line just by using a comma, and since they're the same type. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to say here text objects that will be used and manipulated in the game. So what I'm able to do here now is that I'm able to use this and this to my advantage, so that whenever I have the score and it's going to be changed, so for example from here we're creating it, and then we know that the score is being changed in that it's being initialized to 0. I'm going to go to score text. I'm going to go to score text dot text. So score text dot text here is going to change the text of the score text in the game. So what I'm going to say here is that I'm going to say score, and then I'm going to just say plus score. Pretty simple. So now I know that I'm going to be updating this any single time there's a collision. So I'm going to go down to wherever I have the score changing. So instead of printing the score, I'm going to be showing the score. So now we have that essentially almost done. We're able to show the score. Just to kind of show how that works, I'm going to save the script. I'm going to click on the player object, and I'm going to add my score text and win text game objects, because we added those in the script, so we need to attach them or reference them in from the editor. So I'm going to press play again, and again it says score 0 up here. It still says you win, don't worry. So here's what happens. So I collect an object and the score changes. So I'm going to just go up, and I collect it in our object, The score is just going to keep going up. And I'm just going to keep doing this until I collect all the objects that I need to. And the score is 6. So then now this appears. So we know that everything's working. But we want to be able to also tell the player, and once you collect all 6 objects, then I'm going to want to say, go get the big object. So what I'm going to do in the script here, just double check this is off play mode. Yep, play test mode. I'm going to say score text dot text is going to be equal to go get the big object. So I'm going to say go get the big object. And now that we have that, we're going to work with our win text now. So what we're going to do is that we're going to say win text dot enabled is going to be equal to false. So in this case, what this is going to mean that on the game startup, the player won't be able to see the win text. So initially, we're not going to be able to see the win text. What we're going to be doing is that we're going to be able to see it when we collect that final big object. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to go to the game object here, and then instead of printing you win, I'm going to say win text dot enabled is going to be equal to true. So I'm going to save that, Control S again. I'm going to just press play here, although I'm also going to zoom in on the player object. So we have our whole game here. We have our UI set up there. And I'm just going to press play. So now we aren't seeing the win text. And now let's just go and collect everything. So now we collected all the objects. And it says score 6, but doesn't say to collect the big object. So let's just go back down here and double check. Yeah, score text.text is going to be equal to go get the big object. So in this case, there's nothing wrong with what we said, but it's the order that it's done, because this was executed, but then it went to this. So we don't want that. We want this to be executed right when the player gets all 6. So I'm going to just cut and paste this, because what happens with code is that when something is called, or whenever you read something in code, it's always read top down. So that's why I had to change it to have this on the bottom. So I'm just going to save it. I'm going to test it one more time. Okay, so I've collected 5 so far. I've got the 6 right there, and it says go get the big object. So I'm going to go get the big object, and then that gets destroyed, and then the you win text pops up. So yay, you won. So now we essentially finished the game. The only thing that we need to do before we export it is actually fully save the scene. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to File, then I'm going to Save Scene, and I'm going to click, and I'm going to type in main scene, press enter, and then we have the scene there. So I'm going to then go to File and Build Settings, just drag this in, main scene is in, and then all I have to do is press Build. You can do, and you can export this for PC, Mac, or Linux, but I'm just going to export to Windows. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to press build. I'm not going to do it now, but all you'd have to do is press build, and then you have your game exporting. Once you do export the game, though, you have 2 files here. You have the Hello Unity actually executable, and you have the Hello Unity _data. This applies for the Windows versions of it. For the Mac version, I know that it's only in that one.app file, but in the Windows version, something that can make this easier on you is that you just right click on both of these. So I'm just going to click that, and then control click on the executable. I'm going to right click, send to compressed zip folder, and it's going to put it onto a zip folder right here, or a zip file, which I'm just going to move that to my desktop, and it's on my desktop now. And that's essentially the basics of game development. So thank you for watching this as the first series. I'm going to have a lot more coming up. For the next one, I feel like I know what I'm doing, and I'm pretty excited about it. So I'm just going to have you guys wait until next week to see it. But thank you for watching. If you haven't subscribed and you definitely want to see more of these videos, go ahead and subscribe, like, leave a comment. But thank you again for watching. I'm SomeDevNamedSteve. This was Hello Unity, and I'll be seeing you in the next video.